Well, hello. Welcome to Passive Wealth for High Tech Minds podcast. There are lots and lots of IT professionals who work in the industry. These IT jobs are so exhausting mentally, there isn't much time left for such folks to make clever decisions about their investments. Most are unable to put their money in the right asset classes. This is Prashant Kumar from My Realty Gains. I have worked in corporate America in IT and in business organizations for 25 years. My goal is to educate IT professionals like you about the benefits of passive investing. I will be passing my knowledge and will bring guests who have done very well in their careers and can explain the process and advantages of passive investing. So, let's begin. Well, hello. This is Prashant Kumar from My Realty Gains, and today is my first episode, and I'm humbled that none other than Trevor McGregor is here with me on my first episode of this podcast, and we're going to talk about a lot about the benefits of passive real estate investing today. But before that, I would like to formally introduce Trevor. Trevor is a high performance master coach with over 30,000 hours of coaching experience under his belt. He has worked with clients around the world, including Fortune 500 executives, high level real estate investors, entrepreneurs, world class athletes, business professionals, and they all come to him for one reason: life changing transformation. In addition to running his own private coaching practice, Trevor was a master platinum coach with Tony Robbins Group, offering elite coaching unlike any other program in the world. Prior to that, he has spent over 30 years in corporate working as executive director of operations for a very successful company. He owns a lot of real estate. He's active and passive real estate investor. His holdings they range from single family homes to multifamily apartments, self storages, even an agricultural ham farm in Colorado. He has also been an impact investor in many exciting projects around the world, including Costa Rica and as far as away in Australia. His mission is to assist others in realizing their true power and hidden potential to achieve more success, wealth, freedom, and contribution than they ever thought possible. Trevor lives with his wife Lisa and their three amazing boys in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Trevor, thank you so much, sir, for your time today. And we are just going to talk about, as I said, as I told you earlier, while we were talking, I come from India. I came here about 25 years ago. And there are a lot of IT professionals who come from Southeast Asia here in the United States. They work very, very hard. And they work so hard. This job is so mental energy consuming that these folks do not have time, stamina, or even insight into any passive investing. They don't know what is real estate investing is. For them, investing is more about stocks and bonds and things like that. So what are your thoughts? What would you like to say to these people?
Well, first off, congratulations on your podcast. And I know that you are a wealth of knowledge and information in IT, in real estate. And it's really the cross-pollination of really, putting this out there so that people literally have an opportunity to understand a little bit more about, well, what is passive real estate investing? Why is it a perfect fit for technical people or, high income earners, medium income earners who really, give their blood, sweat, and tears to their company or their corporation. But, that is really trading time for dollars where, they're just smart enough to realize that, if they want a second stream of income or they want to create some passive, wealth for themselves and their families. Well, Prashant, that I believe that real estate is one of the greatest wealth vehicles on the planet. So the fact that you're taking this message to this community is just absolutely exceptional, because I think that they're a perfect fit for real estate and real estate's a perfect fit for them.
That is awesome. That's exactly the message that I wanted to hear from you. So thank you so much for that. I would like to ask you, Trevor, what has been your journey in real estate? How did you start, and how do you see the benefits? What are the different? You have so many real estate around the world. How have you accumulated that, and what has been your journey?
Well, it's a great question, and thank you for the opportunity. And again, I'm from Vancouver, Canada. You might detect a little bit of a Canadian accent. And really, after I went to college and studied business, went and worked in corporate, I knew that I wanted to really kind of, test my feet in the real estate arena. And what most people tend to do, as you know, is they go and buy a single family home or a little condominium or a duplex or a fourplex, and they literally cut their teeth doing something, that they have no idea what they're getting into. And they think, man, this is going to be exciting and interesting. And they're opening up a whole can of worms doing it actively, because you got to find the deal. You got to fund the deal. You got to, spruce up the place. You got to get tenants. You got to deal with tenant issues and toilets and all these crazy things where, you don't know what you don't know until you know, right? And a lot of people get into real estate that way. And it doesn't have to be that way, because we call that an active investor. But really, what I did in my journey is do some active investing, single family homes, multifamily homes, started to do all of that stuff. And then I met a guy by the name of Joe Fairless, right? Who I think you and I both would say we're good associates with Joe, who was also getting out of single family investing and into multi-family investing. So there's some terms that the listener needs to know, like multifamily investing or apartment syndication or passive investing, where we pool a group of people together and we go find an amazing property, and then we buy that property, we fix it up, we improve it, we'll refinance it, and we all get paid to participate in it. So there's active people that do that, and then there's passive people that do that. And I've been on both sides, but I believe that this podcast and what the tribe really needs to hear is you simply have to find really good operators like you or someone in your sphere that has done this time and time again, that understands how it works, the market fundamentals, how the numbers, really look, whether it's a class A property or a B or a C. And then we force the value into that property. We re-tenant it, we refinance it, we might rename it, we might improve it by making the units better, bump the rents a little bit. But I'm telling you, on the other side of all of that, Prashant, is profit, right? Because at the end of the day, you can go and get yourself a second job as an active investor doing all those things, or you can certainly just sit back, find it someone like you and plug into it. And it's really what we call plug and play, to be a passive investor, put your money to work, and then get what we call mailbox money every month if you want.
Awesome. Great answer, Trevor. I would ask you one more thing is, I know these people, even I, when I started investing, I have a fear, but I think when I cut a check and deposit it with a syndicator, they are the professionals who are actually doing they know their stuff, their
Yep.
SEC is involved, their attorneys involved. So it's not what you don't know. I mean, you are trusting somebody who is a professional. Would you agree to that comment?
Absolutely. And I love that you say that, because it's not just about writing a blank check and saying, gosh, I hope this works out, right? People in our sphere that do multifamily apartment investing are people that have been around the block. They've been doing it for years. They know how to find a deal, how to underwrite the deal, how to really, set out the pro forma for how the asset is going to perform. And, they're really, really good at lining all that up. And then once we get the building, then we start to execute the business plan. So these are people that have teams and attorneys and lenders and contractors and insurance people. And Prashant, I call those professional pillars. And what we do is we bring those professional pillars to one place, and everyone has a unique skill set that all adds, to the betterment of the opportunity. And then it's a matter of executing on it. So I think that it's really important for the listener to understand that it's not just one person or a couple of people doing this. It's literally the teamwork that makes the dream work, as they say.
So it is not really dependent on the skill set or the limitation of one or two people. It is the combined professional people in each of their segments, and they managing the asset, they managing the investment. So basically, the passive investors are really not just giving away their money. They are trusting the team, and the team has done it over and over again.
That's exactly right. And again, when I take a look at a lot of the clients I coach, because I am a real estate investor actively, but more so passively now, because I love passive investing, but I also coach people that are active and passive investors. And I think that, it's almost like different strokes for different folks, because some of my clients, they like to go out there and find these awesome deals, and they'll talk to brokers, and they'll drive neighborhoods, and they'll talk to landlords and property managers. Then I get the people that really are good at underwriting the deal. And underwriting the deal is just really getting intimate with the numbers and, how many units are there? What do they rent for? What are the expenses? How can we, add value to the tenants? Maybe we'll add, covered parking to a complex, or a dog park, or maybe some tennis courts or something. And so they're really intimate with those numbers. So again, you got people that find deals, you got people that underwrite deals, then you get the people that love raising capital. That's where we go out to, some of the business people, business owners, professionals, doctors, lawyers, technical people, IT people. And we say, hey, we've got a unique opportunity because we found a deal. We've underwritten the deal. It looks amazing. Would you like to pool your money with us? And then once we pool that money together and we close on it, then we get people that just love, operating the asset and executing the business plan. So I can't say enough that the people I know you work with and I work with, this is their passion. And they've got what we call aces in their places for all of those positions where, man, as a passive investor, I sleep pretty well at night knowing that they're taking care of my investment. They're taking care of that asset. They're taking care of the tenant. And, it's not just about the profit. It's about the impact in bettering people's lives and communities. I mean, these are places where tenants are going to have birthdays and family gatherings and Christmases. And, we do this all over the United States in areas like Austin, Texas, and Dallas, and the Carolinas, and Florida, and Indiana, and Nashville, and Colorado. And, some markets are better than others. And, I never put all my eggs in one market. I like to spread it around and diversify a little bit. But I'm telling you, for somebody that is, a W-2 employee, or somebody that's a business owner that doesn't understand this, or doesn't want any complexity to being an active investor and wants to just, kind of write that check or wire the money over, I really say there's nothing better than a great real estate syndication or investment.
Awesome. That kind of summed it up, overall, for the real, for the passive, what the passive investing really means. Yeah. So, we talked about this, and I know I want to take the benefit of your competency, a little bit, how you would say the mindset, how does the mindset plays role for passive investor? What would you like to tell them?
Well, I love the question. And that's really my favorite thing to talk about is my coach and my mentor, Tony Robbins, who I worked with and for over half a decade. He always says that success is really 80% psychology and 20% mechanics, or what you do. So it's not just that we go out there and we find people that want to, go out there and buy property. We really start by really conditioning people's mindset for investing. Like, why do you want to invest? What are the pros and cons of investing? What are your doubts or fears or worries about investing? Because a lot of people, they'll say, well, I'd want to, but what if I lose money? Or what if the deal goes south? Or what if the market crashes? Or what if there's a black swan event? Or what if, or what if, or what if, or what if? So what I do is I always say to people, because the world works on something called the law of polarity, that you can't have those fears, right, without also having faith, right? And it's just like anything else. If you're out there driving your car down the freeway, there is a chance you could get into a vehicle accident, but there's also a chance that you could arrive at your destination safely and beautifully. Well, the same thing is true in real estate. And I always say, Prashant, that where focus goes, energy flows. So I like to work with people to alleviate those fears, right? Or alleviate those doubts, or those worries or anxieties, by reminding you that, real estate, if you really think about it, has been around since the beginning of time. People have been trying to amass land and acquire land. They've been going to war over land for thousands of years. Well, it's really true today that, I still believe that, people need a place to live. So you really got to think about, what are the benefits of investing your hard-earned capital into something like real estate, where it's called real estate because guess what? It's real. It's real estate. Whereas if you put your money into the stock market, well, I'll tell you what's happening in the markets right now isn't that pretty. Or if you put your money into cryptocurrency, the volatility of that is really up and down and up and down. Whereas I believe that if we really condition the mind for success and we really go back to, success leaving clues, that if you look at, people that are wealthy, 90 or 95% of them became wealthy through investing in real estate. What do you think of that?
Well, that is an awesome answer. I mean, I was expecting the same thing, and for that reason only. I mean, I've been in corporate America like you for 20 some odd years, and now I'm full time into real estate only because of that reason. That when I open my eyes, what do I see around me? Real estate.
Yep.
Besides my family, I see real estate, houses after houses, or land after land, offices after offices. It's real estate everywhere. So why shouldn't I invest into something which is so abundantly available and is needed for everything? It is needed for us to live. It is needed for us to work. It is needed for us to go from one place to another place. It's not something which I cannot see. I see it all the time. And it has always been growing. I mean, you have said it, 90 or 95% of people who are wealthy are because of real estate. So why shouldn't I?
That's it.
Why?
And I'll stack one thing on what you said, because what you said is perfect, because there are also incentives to become a real estate investor. There are tax advantages to becoming a real estate investor where, if you really don't understand it, I'll give you the Coles notes, is the government incentivizes people like you and I to be real estate investors and buy properties and fix them up and landscape them and give tenants a beautiful place to live, that we get great tax breaks and concessions and depreciation and bonus depreciation and cost segregation, which are all terms that shouldn't scare anyone. But as you start to, understand the terminology, it becomes pretty simple. Because if the government didn't incentivize us, they might be responsible for finding housing for, 300 million people. And that's quite a task. So they literally give us, the real estate investor, as a passive investor, an advantage at tax time to really come in and participate in this beautiful thing called real estate.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, and the other thing is basically, there are some people who say these are the tax loopholes. And I say that these are not tax loopholes. Government want you to invest in real estate. That's why they have written the codes like that.
That's right.
There is nothing wrong that you are doing the bonus depreciation and you are writing off a lot of earned income because of the depreciation. There's nothing wrong, because government wants you to do that.
That's exactly it. And what I love about you saying that and reminding the listener that there are major benefits to it, you also get to choose how much you come into the investment with. Maybe you come into an investment with 50K or 100K. And if you're a little bit, deeper pockets, you'd come up with 250K or $500,000 or $1 million, but you get the same advantages whether you put in 50,000 or 100,000 or $1 million. And I think that just kind of levels the playing field for all of us as passive investors. And, I'll be honest with you. I coach people at Microsoft. I coach people at Salesforce. I coach people at American Express. I coach people at Blackstone. I coach people at Airbnb, these very high up technical people. And you're the tech guy and you understand this, but they all get to that point where they go in their career, is this all there is? And then somebody comes along and introduces them to being a passive real estate investor. And then they tell someone else in their office, and then they tell someone else in their office. And all of a sudden, you've got this beautiful tribe of people coming together, as a force for good, investing their hard-earned money into these beautiful assets that create what we call expansion in America, right? Because I believe in the law of the universe, and you guys know some of these natural laws, like the law of gravity. If you jump off the roof of your house, you're going to go down. Well, there's also something called the law of expansion. Mm-hmm. And the law of expansion is, we're really here to really think about expanding opportunity, expanding our money, expanding our tribe, expanding our community. That's why this podcast is absolutely profound at this time, because you're going to bring other tech people into this beautiful space. And I really believe that if we're all expanding, which is the opposite of what most people try to do, which is contract and play small and save their money and hoard their money and clip coupons and all of those things. You don't want to do that with your money. You want to put your money to work, because it's another law called the law of circulation, or the law of compensation. That means if we take some of our money and we use a little bit to live, we use some of it to invest, we have a little bit of fun time with it, and maybe we give some to charity, and that money keeps moving, it is where avalanches of abundance continue to find us. And I really do believe that that's in play for anyone who's defiantly committed to coming into this real estate arena.
Wow, that is the spiritual side. I think sort of a spiritual side you brought to the table. And actually, that was one of my questions in my mind for you. How does the spirituality come into picture? And you kind of mentioned it. I would like you to share some more nuggets if possible. How these things work together for investors. How can we create that tribe?
I think if you really look at anything that's ever been great, it's where great minds have come together, or great musical artists, or great performers, right? Where you really get an idea of one person's genius here combined with someone else's genius here, put together. Now we've got the power of three, right? And people don't know this, but since this is kind of for technical people, I don't know if people really know this, but if you take one stereo speaker, let's say you've got a stereo speaker and you put it in a room, it's going to pump out a certain number of decibels of sound. Now, if you put in a second speaker in that room, it's going to double the output of sound. Now, here's something really cool, that if you take those speakers and you face them towards each other and you turn on the music, you're going to get triple the decibels of sound coming out of two speakers facing each other. And that's the power of resonance. That's the power of frequency. That's the power of, amplification. And that's really what finding a great real estate community or tribe or group can do, where we've got this person to come together with this person, and this person. And all of a sudden, you've got this melting pot of smart, fun, genius people who are really better together and pooling their money. And not only pooling their money to make money, but now it's what you can do with that money. You can go on trips. You can invest in more property. You can give to more charities. You can, start your own foundation. And I really do believe that, it's really impact, Prashant, that creates income. That means that the more impact you make, whether it's in your W-2 as an investor, in your family, in your community, in your church, or your spiritual, playground, the more impact you make, the more income you make. Now, it's not always about money. It's oftentimes about doing the right thing, or being of service, or being of just really understanding that it's not always the money that should be motivating you. It should be, are we doing things for the greater good? Are we doing things for the planet? Are we doing things for other people? Right. And that's a lot of what some of the investors you work with and I work with. We're really about people and the planet before we're about profit. The profit will come in real estate, right? We're renting out beautiful properties to people that need a roof over their head. But if we can really put the people first and take care of the planet, you know what? We're going to have enough profit, and there's enough, abundance out there to serve everybody. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Perfectly fine. I mean, it's just right thing to say, that money will come. Yeah. As long as you are doing the right thing, you are taking care of the environment around you, you are taking care of your investors correctly, money is bound to come. Yep. Whether you make maybe 10% less in this deal and giving 10% more to your investors are going to be with you forever. You build their trust, and they end up remaining with you for a long duration, right? So it's taking care of others' need, putting others before you, right? It's all about others. I mean, that's what I think I'm getting from you. This is what.
And you and I have shared the stage at summits and virtual summits and at the best ever events and some of that stuff. And I really do believe that, I'm here to learn something from you as much as you're here to learn something from me. And that's the beautiful thing about real estate is, there's always something going on in a different market, that if you learn what is someone doing over there, let's say it's in Austin, Texas, then you compare it to what's going on in Orlando, Florida, and you compare that to what's going on in the Carolinas and what's going on in Denver, Colorado. And you know what? It's fun. It's intriguing. because again, I have this insatiable appetite to learn and to grow and to laugh and to share ideas and concepts. And it's just, there's a fabric about real estate that comes together, in multifamily syndications where there's never a dull moment, right? There's always something we can add or, do to a building or, meet with our investors or give them quarterly updates, newsletters, all of these things where you actually don't feel like an island. You feel like you're part of a community or a tribe. And I know you love that. And I love that. Would you agree with that?
I definitely agree with that. I have seen you all the time. I've not talked to you personally, probably too much, but I'm humbled again. As I said, this is my first podcast, and you came here. And just a little bit about myself. I would tell you that I meditate. I meditate quite a bit. I've been meditating.
Me too.
Here you go. Here you go. I've been meditating for the last 30 years, and for the last 15 years, I'm trained to help others, and that's the purpose. Real purpose of like my life. There's no money involved of any sort. I am willing to spend as much time needed to help others, coach others for meditation. For that reason, I want to ask you what we have discussed it, but I'm still discussing one more point. Last point probably is how your meditation helps you to achieve what you have achieved in your life.
Well, thank you. And it's great to hear we're both meditators. And I haven't been meditating as long as you, but I have for the last 15 years easily. But to give the listener a sneak peek into my reality is I get up every morning at 4:44 a.m. Every morning, even weekends, 4:44 a.m. And I get up and I use the restroom. I drink a glass of water with lemon for alkalinity. And then I'm into my meditation where I'll meditate for 30 minutes to condition my mind for success, right? After I'm done my meditation, where I'll think about, all the things I'm grateful for, or, go into anything from a guided meditation to a transcendental meditation to using Headspace or Calm or whatever the flavor of the day is. Then I go and I work on my body, right? Because I always say condition the mind, condition the body. And I'll do a workout. I'll go on my elliptical, my treadmill. I'll do some stretch bands or some weights. And then I'm ready to take on the day, right? Because I work hard in coaching, consulting, real estate, speaking. And I'm telling you, it is full on. So I condition my mind very first because that's what most people don't do. And if you're not conditioning the mind, that means that you're waking up and you're getting into, times of being reactionary instead of proactive, right? And I believe that routine, that habit, that ritual, that it's not just something you and I do, that if the listener does, and you maybe don't have to get up as early as us crazy people, but maybe you move the clock back 15 minutes earlier and you meditate, or you move it back 30 minutes earlier, then you move it back an hour earlier. It's amazing to see how life is so much sweeter when you can get up in the morning and go at a pace, that's your own, instead of waking up, rushing to the shower, getting your cup of coffee, getting into your desk and going, oh my God, where do I start the day from here? So there's a competitive edge to getting up early and meditating that I think gives us just such a great way to tap into our spiritual needs, our body, our mind, our spirit, all of those things. And it literally makes me a better coach. It makes me a better real estate investor. It makes me a better husband, and it makes me a better father.
Awesome, Trevor. And I must add one thing to you. You are definitely very, very experienced in meditation. But for myself, the deepest level of thinking happens during meditation. For me, I'm just telling about me.
Nice.
The things which I cannot think in 24 hours or in a week's time, I can potentially think those things and come up to a conclusion in minutes. So
beautiful.
So that 30 minutes of meditation for me, not that I'm meditating on those things,
yep,
but during those times, during the meditation, there comes a time when I it kind of goes there and I think about it and move on.
Yep. And I love that.
And those things I personally am not even capable of thinking those things, which I think during meditation sometimes.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think it invokes creativity, and we tap into the ether, infinite intelligence, where we start downloading answers to questions, ideas, thoughts, all of these things that if we're in a beta brainwave, which is the brainwave anyone that's listening to this right now is in, it's that, go hard charging brainwave, beta all the time. But meditation then puts you from beta into alpha. And that's one layer deeper, and then alpha into theta. And if you can get into alpha, theta, or delta, I'm telling you, it's where your mind is just so beautiful in literally manifesting whatever it is. And it doesn't come through conscious thought. It just comes from just being. And it's the same thing in real estate. It's not about grinding. It's not about, finding the tallest building or the best thing. It's literally about using a little bit of hustle and flow, like we said, psychology and, productivity, where it comes together no differently than meditation and moving your body comes together to give you the best opportunity for success. So I love that you're doing that.
Wow. Wow. So yeah, Trevor, I mean, again, as I said, I'm always humbled talking to you, and I want to respect your time also. And, I'm sure I would invite you once again, or maybe many more times. What you have shared with my listeners today is, I mean, these are golden nuggets. I mean, nobody can, beat what you have said. Are there any messages, final messages, any ways for them to connect to you? Anything that you want to tell the listeners?
Well, thank you again for having me on. It's a pleasure to be on your show, and I'll come back anytime and talk to you. For the listener, I want you to think about, not just, the past or where you've been. I want you to step into what we call the present, because it's in really the present moment that we get to create what we call a predictable future. So I want to say that again. Don't just live in the past. You can look back at where you've been and where you've come from in your career, but, honestly, step into today, step into the present, because it's here that you get to make a decision to invest in real estate and perhaps set yourself up for massive success in what we'll call the predictable future. And the way for you to do that is to listen to podcasts like this. Reach out to Prashant and ask him questions. There are no silly questions in real estate. We're all infants at some stage until we start, crawling and then walking, and then we ride our bike, and then we get in a car, and then we can maybe fly an airplane. So wherever you are, whether you're new to real estate, or maybe you're an intermediate in real estate, or maybe you are an expert listening to this show, Prashant has absolutely got everything that you guys need to take yourselves to the next level in real estate. And the final thing I'll say, and then I'll give my contact details, is I want you to check in with two things, because as a high performance coach, after doing 30,000 coaching sessions, and that's an actual statistic, that's not me beating on my chest. It's just, you can probably hear how passionate I am about this work and investing in real estate, that there's two things that you really need to take your life to the next level. And the first one I want you to check in with is your hunger, right? How hungry are you? I mean, how much do you want to find that second stream of income, or get into real estate, or, meet a like-minded group of professionals that are doing the same things that you want to do? So check in with that hunger and make sure it's not just a little appetizer you want, but you want a nice meal. The second thing and final thing is really, where are you on a scale of 1 to 10 in your passion? Because I believe if we combine our hunger with passion, it's absolutely the 1-2 punch that can give you the competitive edge to go out there and do some things that you've never done before. So if you got a little, kindling in your stomach for real estate, put a few more logs on there, and let's build a big fire of hunger and passion. And then we can all plug into real estate, because I truly believe that we're all better together. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. Hunger and passion, you need that for you to get to the next level in any area of your life. While you have one income going, do you have passion to go into the next one and create something better for you? And hopefully someday you move out from that first income stream and become full-time investor, like you and me.
That's right. Yeah, lots of people do. I mean, I left corporate, you've left corporate. We now do this beautiful work full time. And I think it gives us the best of both worlds, because we can be at home, we can be traveling, we can go back to India or to Australia or to Europe. I mean, I'm blessed to really be able to work anywhere there's an internet connection and a telephone. So it really does give people a choice or an option that maybe a few years down the road, you don't have to be handcuffed to your IT desk. So with that said, I'd also like to give the listeners my details, and it's really easy to find me. you can go to my website, which is trevormcgregor.com. That's TrevorMcGregor, trevormcgregor.com. Or you can easily find me on LinkedIn, Trevor McGregor. And if anyone wants to connect or find out more about, how I can help them go to the next level, any listener of your podcast is a friend of mine. So once again, thanks for having me on, and keep up the great work.
Well, thank you so much, Trevor. I mean, I was, as I said, I was amazed that you took the first spot on my podcast, and there was nobody else, better I could have to start my podcast. I'm really humbled. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. And just again, I celebrate you and everyone else who's in this space, and all the best as you move forward.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. As usual, you can reach me via my website, www.myrealtygains.com, and via email, prashant@myrealtygains.com. I would love to hear from you and talk to you about specific needs you may have. Please schedule an appointment with me via my website, again, www.myrealtygains.com. Stay tuned for next podcast. This is Prashant Kumar signing off for today.